Hello everybody, my name is Pisces and I am here to talk about a game that I have been hyped for like well over a year and been really keeping an eye on and watching its progress, and I've participated in multiple betas. And this new game is another 4 versus 1 horror game, but this one's actually got it. Like, this one's got it. This game, and I mean this, genuinely answers the worst things that DBD has failed to answer in all 6 years of it being out, and actually doesn't fail when it comes to a lot of core game design decisions. And not only that, but if you enjoy looping in Dead by Daylight, which is what most people enjoy doing, this game takes the looping concept out of DBD and gives it a bunch of mechanics that are actually skillful and fun and not based on map RNG. They're not based on killer loadouts or survivor loadouts, and it's not like, it's just a really fun game that has like camping and tunneling is severely crap in this game and doesn't work, and there's so many easy counters to it. It's not like DBD where it took them 6 years to give you a slight counter to it by giving you borrowed time. No, this game actually has done it from the beginning and has kept it this way. And the main thing that has kept it kind of behind in its betas is because there were a lot of game-breaking issues, and there may still be a few on release. It releases on the 22nd of November, and that's why I'm talking about it. It's a month away. But I genuinely, like, if this game just has enough of a player base to where there's always people playing it and I can get a game in like 5 minutes average, like, that's good enough for me, dude. I will literally put like 10k hours in this game over the next like decade. I'm not joking. This game is seriously fun, and I'm going to go ahead and explain to you what is better about this game compared to DBD. I've made a guide on it, and I'm going to click through this. Eventually, I'm going to make a more well-edited video on this kind of thing, but I'm so hype about it, I actually can't wait, and I want to get something out. So firstly, the objective. It has an objective that's similar to Gens, where you are going to work on one thing to progress the game, but it's not as freaking boring as Gens, because you don't just get on them and start working on them. In this game, you have to complete 3 of 4 rituals instead of gens. I'll just call them gens. So you have to complete 3 of 4 gens. You have to, and for you to start doing them, you have to find an item. Instead of just being able to immediately do it, you have to find an item. And then when you get the item, then you have to prep the gen, which is the ritual here. And once it's prepped, everyone in the game knows, okay, this is prepped, you can work on it. The reason this is better than in DBD is because now the killer can't just be like, oh, I patrolled the wrong gen at the start of the match, so now they just finish it and I can't do anything. No, in this, like, it gets rid of that issue for making it have to be prepped. And so it's actually important to learn where to find the ritual items. That's how you, like, early game patrol. You find the boxes, and they're kind of in random spots where neither of you can, killer or survivor, can see the auras of them. And so it's like rewards some game knowledge there. And another cool thing this game has is when you complete all the rituals, you can either escape through the portal or fight the killer. The items that you use to loop the killer with, which I'll teach about in just a second, start actually dealing damage to the killer. And so it's like, instead of, like, if you roll the game as survivor, it gives the killer a chance to come back if everyone starts to fight, like, and band together and actually fight the killer. It's a way more points, but of course it's higher risk because it gives the killer a lot of potential to actually destroy you. So it has the fun aspect of VHS where you use items to fight, but instead of having to spend like a freaking minute getting an item just to start playing VHS, in my opinion, to me, that's the worst thing about it. This game, the items are extremely common. They're not they take a way more to kill the killer, like you can't just hit them 4 times with 4 items and that's it. But it takes that fun part, like the concept of, okay, using items in your loop, like, this is cool, like I can partially blind them, I can zone them with it, I can help my teammate. It takes that and puts it in this game, and then you add the fact that you can actually loop in this game, because in VHS you can't loop. But in Home Sweet Home, you can. And so you actually use the items to loop, and you use conventional resources that kind of are similar to palettes in Windows, not really, but they're awesome. So that's the objective. So let's kind of go over, so we're going to go over some basics. It's just like DBD in terms of like the game mode, and that's it. So like it's 4 survivors, 1 killer. Instead of there being hooks, you have like, you basically go down and drop your soul. All right, so when your teammate dies, my teammate has died, they drop the soul on the ground like this, like I was saying. And what you can do is you can go grab that soul, and you run to one of these revive stations that are highlighted like straight up everywhere. And then look how fast the revive is. So this is, imagine like you basically unhook somebody, and then you have fully revived them, and now you're good. It's basically like picking someone up from slug to unhooking them that fast, right? So it's a very quick action. The killer could sit at the soul, but if you do that, the survivors get an absolutely gargantuan amount of pressure on the map, like setting up objective. They can get items and set up loops. So imagine like you loaded into the game and there were no pallets like in this area. And if the killer camped, you could just be like, oh, I'm gonna go grab some pallets and set them up. That's effectively like what you get to do in this game. So it makes camping way worse, because if you invest in camping, that better be worth like 3 pallets worth of pressure just thrown into the map, because holy crap, it is not good. Whenever a survivor picks it up, the timer is paused. So like imagine if the killer was camping the soul. If a teammate goes and grabs it and picks up the soul, now that timer is paused. Sure, the killer can tunnel the person with the soul, but your teammates in this game, it's not just about like, oh, use pallet, use window. If you don't have it, then you can't do anything. Like, your teammates can actually help you. They can essentially bring an item to stun the killer, block the killer's path very shortly, and things like that. And you can use that ability to like get enough distance, and the revive's super quick. You revive your teammate at like a station that's everywhere on the map, and then they are immune for like 10 seconds or something, and he can easily like loop after that. And there's just so much. It's crazy. Now, for some of you probably seeing this game or thinking or hearing this, you're like, oh my god, that means sounds like Killer Bully Simulator. The survivors have everything, blah blah blah. No, I can tell you that yes, the survivors can make really good plays like that. However, the killer is actually more powerful than the survivors in this game. The reason I can tell you that it's more powerful than the survivors is because I have 500 hours in, so I've played, and my stats on that, on survivor, are 70% win rate, so I can either escape or kill the killer. As killer, I get an 84% kill rate. So yes, the game is skill-based. I have a very high win rate on both roles. It is because, of course, I have played so much DBD. Some of you know that I'm a professional DBD coach. I've played it for 6 years, 4,500 hours. I played a lot. I mean, this game is crazy good. It's all skill-based. There's a lot of ways killers can counter these items and team plays, and it's so fun. It's actually just pure skill. Now, okay, cool. Like, that sounds great. Yeah, maybe this sounds like a cool idea. Some of you may be hyped about this. Like, oh, wow, you know, sounds like you can do a lot more in this game a little bit. Maybe that's what you're thinking. It gets even better in almost every way. As you can see on the screenshot here, we have perks, and look at these little red dots. So perks have a cost, and each character has their own perk that when you play them, you get that specific ability. So your 4th perk slot is your character. And some of them have different ratings of cost that they can get. So this person can hold 6 perk cost worth. And so why this is good is because the best perks have higher costs, right? And so you can't have all of the best perks on one loadout. So there's like a bit of a forced variety of strength. So if you want a really strong perk like Dead Hard, you can't also have Adrenaline, Off the Record, and Borrowed Time, for example, like in the terms of strength rating. It makes it more interesting and more dynamic. Of course, there's like a meta, but it's a bit variety. Like each character, some characters that you play have like their own build that's usually optimal on them, and so that's pretty fun. Solo queue also doesn't suck. There's a ping system. So you can tell your team at the top of the HUD, like, help, you know, cover me, run, be decoy. I have the key item. That usually means the ritual item to start up the objective. You know, fight, like, okay, let's fight the killer. You know, you can communicate no and okay, obviously yes and no. And then help me, like, you know, maybe you're getting tunneled or something and you need help. Now teammates can help you. And it doesn't stop there, because you can also ping killer. You can ping ritual. Okay, it doesn't stop. Okay, I'm sorry. It just keeps getting better. The ritual chest here, the ritual chest, that's the chest I was talking about where you set up the objective. This, you can ping it and everyone can see it on your team. You can also ping the objective and how much percentage it has left. You can also ping the killer's location. Let's see if I can show you here. Oh, quick note, you can also ping items. So I dropped an item here. This is like one of your loop items. So imagine you could like ping a pallet. Kind of like the best example I could get here. Like you could ping, hey, there's a pallet here. I've set up a loop here. Now the team knows where it's going to be in the future. You can also ping killer location. I couldn't find it, but you can ping killer location. You can just accept that as fact. I mean, you can test it by playing the game if you want. So another incredible thing is the chase. So here you see I have a crouchable hole, which the killer has to kick. You can kind of imagine that's like a pallet, right? So he has to kick it. I can crawl through it. They can't. And so now I'm running my chase, and so I have a temporary wall item that puts a wall in between here. And again, that's only there because someone put it there. So you have to spend time picking up an item out of a chest and then putting it there. So there's the item chest for the objective, but there's also red chests for the items. And so here I'm using a different item. I love this game. So here, this item here, it gives me a speed boost. It's like sprint burst, kinda, like a tiny speed boost. It's not as powerful as sprint burst at all. But you know, you get the idea. Run faster, therefore you're not gonna get hit as soon. So that's really fun. Then we have an item here that blinds the killer. All right, so if I toss this, it's gonna like partially blind the killer's screen. It's gonna blind like a quarter of it. So imagine like, you know, this part of the screen was blind, and I have to land 3 hits like to fully blind their screen, and they have to be in rapid succession as well. So, you know, it takes aiming like a flashlight does, and you can blind the killer. I also want to mention before everyone's like thinking, okay, this is so busted, like time to kite the hate comments, killer bully simulator, even though you have 84 killer rate, you play against noobs. I'll go ahead and show you the killer's like basically counter to this. So when it comes to ignoring like items and the killer's counterplay, this shield you see right here that's around my character, it lasts for 5 seconds, and then you get it every 15 seconds after it's gone. So essentially, you're immune for a fourth of the game to all the items and all the crazy techs and all the item and combos that any survivor can do. So of course, not all match at every second of the match are you being bombarded by some item, right? It usually comes at a certain moment. And so in this practice chase, you're going to see me do here temporarily, like, okay, my shield is up, boom, I popped the shield, there was a trap on top, so I ignored the stun, and now I've closed distance on him. He put a wall in between us, and he's toxic. One of my friends teabags me, wastes some distance, that's fine. And you know, as I'm chasing him here, he has another item here, but I use teleport to get away from that string trap. And then I continue chasing him, right? And now look, my shield is back up at the bottom left. You see that? My shield's back up, and so I've ignored all the items he's put down so far, right? That's effectively, like I've balanced my resources to do that, and now I have my shield up again. So if he uses an item on me and I time my shield before he uses it, I'll be immune to it completely. And so, you know, I continue chasing him here. By the way, survivors take 4 hits to go down instead of 2, since when they drop their soul and they go down, they only get 1 life. Like, so once you revive them, they revive at half health, and then they die permanently after that. So they only get 6 total hits, kind of. There are heals, but I'm not going to get too much into how the healing works. So now he's picked up a weapon. So you see his weapon here. I pre-shield because usually most people, I'll go ahead and show you this again. So I've hit him. He's running here. You see there's a stick on the ground right here. He picks it up. Now he's holding it. That's essentially like a portable stun stick. So what he does is usually people round the corner and then they pre-swing at you, so you can't react to them like swinging at you and shield. So I pre-shielded here thinking he would swing, and I did it just at the amount of time to where now I've caught up to him with 3 seconds remaining on the shield. And then I get my hit. And I also have a perk that drops an item. So like, on top of that, I have a perk here that when I shield, I break through walls. So there's a lot of anti-loop in this game, and I know you're thinking, oh great, so now every killer is nurse. Maybe you're thinking that, maybe you're not. But no, because again, there are a lot of windows where I don't have my perk up. Like that perk that drops the item has a half-minute cooldown, right? And then my shield is down for 15 seconds straight, so I don't have that. And when I teleported, that's a 90-second cooldown when I ignored his trap. So there is skill. It's a very skill-based game. Like the looping is so pure skill because the maps always load in the same every single time with like the resources. The RNG comes from the items, which you as a player have to decide, okay, I got this item here. Is it useful to put it in this spot or this spot? Like, and then you can ping it to your team, and so there's teamwork, like, hey, okay, I know a teammate just pinged that my resources there, so like I can go loop that now that I know there's something there. I don't have to be like, oh god, where's the powder window, whatever. Oh yeah, here it is. Like I don't have to learn, you know, every map in the game's RNG and a complex algorithm that I have to teach literally every person I coach for like 15 minutes in our session in order to actually start having an idea of what to do and chase. It's so fun. And I cannot stress enough, like genuinely, how fun looping is in this game. Now, for those of you out there that are horror fanatics who are just like, oh, I like my pretty graphics and I like my cute TV characters, this game's not going to have that. This is a Taiwan-based game. It's going to have Taiwan-based horror. You're not going to probably know what it is. But this game has like what everyone likes about looping, and then it literally builds the whole game off that. Like, oh, I don't like map RNG. Okay, get rid of it. Doesn't belong in the, why does that have to be in the genre? Doesn't. And then, you know, okay, looping, you know, it's pretty RNG based. If I get a bad map, like I just lose. And there, technically, I will go ahead and say, so far when I played in the beta, there were a couple maps that were strong. But the thing with that is it's not because of the RNG, it's just because the map like itself was strong. So like they could just nerf segments of the map by just fixing it, and that would consistently fix every single game. And so that's incredible. There's such an easy foundation of the game that the game can build off of to improve. Here, I just used an item to put a wall in between us, you know, and now I have a door here, which essentially acts as a pallet. I'm opening them because they start off closed. I got stuck, which is on me. I spit him, closed the door, barely dodged the hit. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Fun. And then, I'm continuing to loop, and they kept going on after that. And so now here's the same clip as killer. So I started off, I shield that trap he set up, and then, like I said, you see me come around this corner, he puts a wall in between us, and so that would buy him more distance if he didn't teabag, right? And so, in case you're not sure what the trap is, you see that light up there is the trap. So that just stuns me for like 2 seconds, I think, or like 1.5, and then it lets everyone in the game see my exact location. So it's a very strong trap thing. But of course, they have to get the item, then they have to run over there, and then they have to set it up. And that has to be worth the time to burn a shield. It has to be worth the time to burn one of the killer's abilities, and you have to use another item to actually impact the killer after you got his shield to go away, you burned his ability. And so, like, it's so fun, man. And so if you like DBD for the chillness of it and like the not so competitive of it or whatever, like that of course that game has the W, right? That's where the game shines. I'll just keep letting it play. And that's where it's fun, right? But if you wished that looping was more skillful, like, and your knowledge of looping mattered more, and you could just focus on the fun and interaction of looping with the killer, and that's what you enjoyed, and now you're kind of maybe burned out on all the problems with DBD that basically effectively never have you in chase. You spend 85% of your match on a Jhin, or holding mouse 1 on something, or someone's holding mouse 1 on you, and that's literally all of Dead by Daylight for like 90% of your gameplay, unless you're one of those players who just run at the killer every game just to loop and don't really care how it goes, and that's fine too. But this game literally is designed... look at that, oh my god, I'm sorry. I took it, oh my god. It's just designed to be like, fun. It focuses on the fun thing, and that is looping. So here I stun the killer, drop down spot, which normally is like makes the killer has to like walk all the way down it and like take a longer stagger than me. And I use a door, loop, and it's so variety, right? It's not just loop circles around pallet and window, and then like that's the whole freaking game. Like this, there's a mix of stuff. He broke a wall. I'm hiding in the corner. I get the stun, surprise him. I crouch through the wall. Now he has to break the wall. If he doesn't, he's gonna cut me off. He might actually cut me off here. I'm not sure. So yeah, boom, I put a wall in between us, like, and that's the only reason I could do that is because these items were set up, and I was planning this thing ahead, and I set up the loops, and this, of course, as you can see at the top right here, it's not a real game. I set up some loops ahead of time for the sake of the example of the recording, but, oh my gosh, I'm so hyped about this game. I'm so hyped, and it's actually crazy that none of the big streamers are liking it. You know why? I'll show you why. This is the game on Steam. People look at this mixed review thing, and they think, bad game. And then when they read the reviews, they'll say things like this, and there are some fair reasoning behind this, and I'm going to explain why. But they'll say things like this, where it's, it's still a bad game, it puts you against people with 1,000 hours when it's only been playing for 7, and you only get bullied. Yes, it's a skill-based game, and the reason this game struggled is because every one of its betas, it had a very small player count, and so you got lobbied with anyone, because there's no way it could MMR match you, because the skill variety was too wide, and so that's totally understandable. But if more people understood the game and played it, you would have more people at your skill level queuing, and you would normally go against them. There is an MMR system, and since the game's skill-based, it actually does something. Another one said, you can't play from Thailand unless you're from Thailand, and that's because there's only Asia servers up in the beta right now. So a lot of them came from this segment, which is April of 2020, and I want to say in April 2020, even up to like this May, which is when I played again and got my 500 hours in the game. In April, there were a lot of problems. It was bully simulator for killers. The game's style was some of the loops were literally infinites, like literally infinites, just like it was at the start of DBD. And then there were some killers that were like horrible design, horrible. And some of their mechanics were just awful, and the way they worked on some maps was terrible. There were also only 2 maps, and there was only like 3 or 4 killers, right? And like 5 survivors. Some perks weren't fair. A lot of stuff was bad. And so a lot of these reviews, a chunk of the negative reviews come from here, and then in a random segment of January that still was an earlier part of the game. But in this segment of the game, now the reviews are of course the same, about mix of, like 60% positive-ish. A lot of people that were playing when the NA servers did open were, again, going against strong players, and it kind of felt like a bully simulator because it's a very hard game. It's not exactly like DBD. You have to actually be good at looping to really do much in this game, unlike DBD where you can just sit on a Jhin, kind of crouch around and get some saves, and that's the whole game, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with playing like that, but for those of you who enjoy looping, this is your game. A lot of the negative reviews just come from people like that aren't good, or that are playing against people that are way better than because there's not enough players in the game. And then, you know, people use excuse like, oh yeah, look at all the reviews from the lifetime the game's been out. Oh, it's obviously trash, everyone knows it, so it must be unbalanced. And it kind of like validates their opinion that's based off their like 1 hour of experience, and they refund the game. Oh, I almost forgot to say, the core mechanics of the game. So when the game first came out, there was also a core mechanic a lot of people didn't like that made them leave. And that core mechanic was that Survivor could actually run faster than the killer. Sometimes they had like a stamina bar. So they ran faster than the killer with the stamina, and then they were slow, basically walking speed. And killers had this ability to let them traverse the map really quick. But essentially the fundamental movement of the game, a lot of people couldn't transition from DBD because of that. But in the second beta, which is here, they actually reverted that and made it to where it's just like Dead by Daylight, where killer's just slightly faster all the time, and that's how it is. If you're still at this part of the video, maybe the game has hyped you at this point. Maybe you want to learn more about it. The video I've been clicking on, cat kiss and sub, by the way. The video that I've been clicking on is my tutorial video, the Ultimate Homescale Survive tutorial. If you want to learn a lot, I mean a lot, I spent 40 hours making that video, I'm not joking, about this game, then like, just check it out, like genuinely. I'll put it in the description too. And maybe I'll have a card up there. You'll see it. I love the game, and this has been a huge ramble, so I hope y'all check it out, dude. I'll be making a ton of videos on this game for the next month as it's about to come out, hyping it up on like TikTok and stuff. And I honestly, if you want your big streamers from DBD to try this out, just start convincing them, bro. It's $7 on Steam, and it is PC only, unfortunately. But yeah, that's it. Cat kiss.